Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another session of this very special event, The Sacred Wound as a Portal to Your Awakening, where we are learning to embrace the dark night of the soul. My name is Charlie Giles, and I'm honoured to be your host for this powerful wisdom sharing event. Now, I just need to pause and say, you may you may notice I'm a little bit in the dark, and I don't know whether you can tell what my eyes are actually a little bit swollen. I have woken up today with some kind of allergic reaction, but I just wanted to press on because time is very precious to all of the speakers. So if you're wondering if I'm okay or why it's a little bit dark, I am okay. My eyes are a little bit sore and they're a little bit puffy and a bit watery, but I am pressing on anyway. Thank you. I'm going to introduce to you and talk to you about the lovely Erica Nunnally. Erica is a soulpreneur and a modern folk medicine woman. She's weaving traditional animism, ritual and ancestral tending. She is an initiate of ancestral medicine, a traditional Usui Reiki master and teacher, and an intuitive folk herbalist. Erica curates Illuminate and a 6-month personal healing journey for women and identity folks. Erica developed and curates the art of Zen business and is the author of The 7 Practices, How to Live Passionately, Profitably and on Purpose. Erica shares her lessons learned nationally and internationally, online and in person, to help her clients redefine what it means for them to truly be well in life and work. So please welcome Erica Nunnally for today's topic, the sacred repair through the 4 medicines. Hi, Erica.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me here, and thank you to all of the viewers for watching today. Just a brief little introduction of who I am, where I'm from. Again, my name is Erica Nunnally. I'm currently speaking to you from what's called Providence, Rhode Island, the lands of the Narragansett people. And my ancestors are indigenous peoples of North America. So they mostly are from the Nansemond and Choctaw tribes. I'm also of African ancestry, primarily Cameroon, Congo, and Southern Bantu, and also have some English and Irish ancestry as well. Something else to know, I am a traditional animist, a ritualist, an intuitive healer, and an ancestral medicine practitioner. And all of that will start to make sense when we get into a little bit deeper about what the 4 medicines are and how I came to be a keeper of the 4 medicines. So essentially, my role as a medicine keeper is to hold the space between the seen and the unseen, and to support your journey to remedy unhelpful patterns, to heal wounds, to connect you to your own deep medicine gifts. So really happy to be here and excited to be in this dialogue with Charlie today.
Yes, thank you so much, Erica. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Well, I think, as you said, the most perfect place to start then is to dive right into the 4 medicines. If you would be able to explain that for us, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely. So the 4 medicines are actually mind, body, spirit, and nature. And I know that might seem really rudimentary, but for me, this was a mind-blowing discovery. So my history is one of I consider myself to be a healed, wounded healer. Yes. So early on in my journey of healing myself, I had been introduced to the practice of yoga. So the embodiment of, finding that stillness within, listening more deeply. And I was quite young. I was actually 16 or 17 years old when I first stepped on my mat. And it was at that time, even then, life-changing. But fast forward through a few years, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And if you're not familiar with it, it's basically an inflammation of the digestive system, and it can show up in all kinds of ways. But ultimately, what's important to know today is that my condition had gotten so extreme that my gastroenterologists were recommending either removing sections of my intestines or putting me on something called Remicade at the time. And for me, at this point in my journey, I had just welcomed basically my first child, and she was only maybe, I'd say I spent about a month of the first year of her life in the hospital dealing with my Crohn's disease. And it kind of dawned on me that I wanted to provide a different example. So of course, life-saving drugs are like, I'm all for them, bring it on. But I felt like my gastroenterologist had said to me, we're not really sure if these work, if they're better for you when you're on them or off of them, because we only have one of you. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Then this means that I should be my own experiment. Yes? So I had spent a year of my life trying it their way. And then I decided to spend a year of my life trying it a different way. And what I needed to do for me, again, not recommending this to anyone, but what worked for me is really listening to my body. So going back to those basic practices of yoga and aligning myself with sort of that, not just the deeper listening, but the deeper feeling, right? So a lot of the medications or tools that we have today sort of numb that experience that we're going through. And what I needed was to actually feel it so that I could tell when something was off. And this was pretty important. So there's that mind-body connection that happened. And at points, I couldn't really move my body. I was sort of doubled over in the pain of the experience. But I still could use my mind. And so I would drop down into those spaces of stillness, listen a little bit more, and kind of move through the darkness, right? And this was really important. So eventually, I'm going to fast forward a little bit more. I found my balance. I learned to listen to my body. I learned which things will actually put me back into that state of unwellness and imbalance, and decided to not do those things anymore. What that did is it got me to this place of stability, right? I was like, okay, so things should be good. I've got this mind, body, spirit connection thing going. And then, for some reason, I kept still feeling like something was a little bit off. Like I kept having these moments where, health-wise or even just sort of mentally, I was kind of shifted off my feet. And I thought there must be something missing. There's still something that I'm not noticing. So fast forward. I had a little notebook. And in this notebook, there was a yellow sticky. And on that sticky note was a phone number. And before I opened this notebook, I was saying literally out loud to the universe in general, I think it's time for me to find my next teacher. And then I opened this notebook. So this little yellow sticky that was in there was actually given to me by one of the members of the yoga community. She's actually a Reiki master teacher. And she said to me, you need to call this number. That was 5 years before I actually reopened the notebook, found this sticky, and was like, 5 years ago, my teacher then told me that I needed to call this number. So I, of course, instead, being, it's the digital age, I decided to Google the name of the person that was on this sticky note to see if I could find out more information about them and all of this. And nothing. There was nothing. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to actually call this number. And who cold calls anybody anymore? So I did. And for some reason, instead of saying, hello, this is my name, all I said was, I'm calling because I'm looking for my teacher. And her response was, it's about time. So there you go. Yeah. This person turned out to be a Lakota pipe carrier. And she was the one who helped me to understand nature. She was the one to remind me that I actually already knew everything I needed to know, but I had forgotten it. Kind of getting caught up in, the modern living that is very noisy, and we are easily distracted. So she reminded me that the gifts of my lineages, of my people, that I was sort of on a surface connection with them. But to be of nature, to be in alignment with nature, it was about the food that I take in. It was about actually communicating with my other family, so the trees and the sky and the water and the earth. And, really starting to get back to my roots of herbalism. So all of these things that I had been doing when I was a child, but had kind of grown out of them, she helped me to grow back into them. So that is the 4 medicines: mind, body, spirit, and nature. And so the way that I explain it to folks that I work with, I, of course, absolutely so grateful for the mind, body, spirit connection that I was able to learn through Reiki, and then it translated through yoga, and it translated into Reiki and energy reading and all of that. Truly grateful. But if you think about a stool, like that you sit on, that has 3 legs, you put that on the ground, it's always going to find level. This is the beauty of 3 legs. This is what makes it so cool. But at the same time, you're never quite certain if the ground beneath you is level, or if maybe one of the legs on the stool is not level. But it's still, you can stand on it. It's okay. And that's what my life was like. That's what my journey was like. It was okay. But if you put 4 legs, right, if it's a table and one of those legs is not shored up, or if the ground beneath it is not level, you're going to know right away what's still out of balance. And so this is how I learned, through basically my broken, tired body, that the 4 medicines are really what's required in order to experience that fullness of health and wellness and balance.
What an amazing story. What a powerful story too. Thank you for sharing that. It's to see the journey that you've been on, and as you said, to get through that darkness, to have those outcomes is just sounds so powerful. Mm-hmm. I'm really interested about, I guess, the 4 medicines and how other people can kind of, find their way to these.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And this is the beauty, I think, of the 4 medicines, that for everyone, what is needed in order to create balance for you is going to be unique to you. There isn't a prescription in that way, right? So, but it's also extremely accessible. So I wouldn't want you to believe that, you have to come to me in order to balance your 4 medicines, but you can really do an assessment of yourself, right? You can check in. Am I connected? When you think about spirit, am I connected to something that is greater than myself? How are my energy levels? What are my cycles and rhythms with the seasons, with myself and my own body, right? You can do that assessment for sure. And it's the same when you think about the physical, your physical body. Are you doing the things that really truly nourish it? For some people that I've worked with, they've come to me and I'm like, when's the last time you went dancing? You know, when's the last time you had fun? Sometimes that is the medicine, yeah. But thinking about your body, I think especially here in the US, we're sort of primed that, oh, okay, well, this means I need to exercise, right? And I need to work really hard. And sometimes we need to rest. Like, I don't know how often I have to tell folks, okay, when's the last time you really, truly rested? Not just, you know, I was reading on my Kindle and I fell asleep. You know, when is the last time that you let your body disconnect from technology and naturally go to sleep when the sun sets and naturally wake up when the sun rises, right? This is how we tune in and connect and nurture our bodies. Again, all of this is something that you can do on your own. I am here to help facilitate and to kind of give you those reminders of where you might need to go. But, and it's the same, mind and nature for you, because nature is such a huge component. Nature for you might be about checking in with your diet. And when I say diet, oh my goodness, that word gets such a bad rap. We try to, you know, it's not about not eating. Diet is literally what you eat, right? So there's a little bit of mindset adjustments that we tend to make when we're working through the four medicines, where we go back to the purest form of information. And so diet being what you eat. And so helping you to determine whether or not, okay, you're craving something that's sweet. Does that have to be a, you know, Starbucks double-sized coffee? Or could it be a little bite of dark chocolate? I don't know. We'd have to see, right? Or is it more that, you know, you really eat pretty cleanly and pretty well, but there are some basic nutrients that your body isn't absorbing. So maybe it's time for an herbal tonic that can help your body, you know, because it's in a fluid, it's a liquid form. It allows your body to absorb those nutrients a little bit more readily. So there's all these different ways that we can look at bringing in and balancing your four medicines, but it really is unique to you. And then once you find those tools, those practices, those ways of being in the world, what I love about this work is that there's such it's like reclamation, right? It's almost like what my teacher told me. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, because it's actually truly innate in your body. Our bodies are actually primed towards wellness. It's truly what it wants to be. And oftentimes when it's, you know, you notice rashes or aches or pains or things that keep coming up, it's often, and I say 100% of the time, but it's often because of something that we are doing, right? It's a choice that we are making. So the four medicines is about reclaiming your power and using that power of choice to help your body help you, right? When you step up to the four medicines, it starts with an assessment, right? Let's go through sort of the whole of your life. What types of environments are you in, right? Are you sort of constantly inside an office building, or do you stay only in your office? When was the last time you went on vacation or hiking or sitting by the ocean or finding those spaces of resource? So there's that assessment at the beginning is huge. And oftentimes, even just after that, there's so much clarity that you're ready to dive right in. We work through cycles and habits and patterns, and we highlight those that are really, really nurturing. And we start to break down the reason that unhelpful patterns might have come in. Now, unhelpful patterns that might have come in, this is where ancestral medicine comes in the four medicines. Sometimes our patterns are things born of our choices in this lived experience, right? But sometimes our patterns are ones that we've inherited. And the ones that we've inherited are the ones that, at least within the four medicines, found that it's best to go back to our wise and well-healed ancestors to pick up that medicine from them and kind of heal that pattern or reframe that pattern or restructure the pattern or completely destroy that pattern, depending on what it is, so that what you have is lifted off and out of your body and you experience that level of freedom and spaciousness. And just almost recognizing that something that you've been carrying isn't your own, that alone can be really, really healing. But within the four medicines, the deeper work would be to work with your primary lineages and help to clear those patterns all the way through so that the gifts and the blessings from your lineages can flow down to and through you and beyond. So this way you also know that you're not handling those blessings or those hurts or harms or unhelpful patterns, you're not carrying them forward. Instead, you become the vehicle for the blessings and gifts. So that's kind of how it works. It's one of those things. It's difficult to explain unless you're really in it. But I hope that helps.
No, it's absolutely, yeah, it's a really powerful way of explaining it too, because I know from my own experience, I've had, spent the last few years with doing some ancestral healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, it's one of those things that part of the message, because as you said, again, with the four medicines, I love that. And it's probably something I need to address with my eyes at the moment. There's probably something there that I'm missing. But there's so much to do for our own health in this lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then to actually address and assess our ancestral stuff as well is the part that many people, they're not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to alleviate yourself from those patterns, it's amazing.
No, it's truly, I think that's part of the being a keeper of the four medicines. It can be a little bit daunting at times. Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility there, but at the same time, the thing that makes it all possible is recognizing that the four medicines are actually all self-healing. Yeah, even the ancestral medicine piece. What we do together in working through healing the lineages is that we actually practice reconditioning ourselves. It's almost like decolonizing our mindset to, like, we've been trained to fix a thing. We have to go in and do the thing and do the hard work. But with ancestral medicine, we go in and we connect with your well ones who already have all the gifts and the powers, because you're down lineage from something that's been harming you, you've been carrying around, right? So you might not have what's needed to kind of push against that force, but they're on the other side and we let them do the work. And I think it's a new concept, really. And I think that's the direction, at least in my mind, of, sort of being modern medicine people or medicine people in this modern age, is to help people get back to the simplicity of things, to help people find their own agency, their own voice, and reclaim their own power, and recognize that, quite honestly, if I'm doing my job with you, then you won't need me anymore. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's my job, to teach you and to remind you of all of the tools you already have for self-healing.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I think that's been a common kind of theme, is that this isn't about trying to, sell people into the fact that they need a guru or someone to constantly go to to heal. It's finding someone who can help you access that healing that you already have, right? Yeah.
100%. 100%.
So would this be your philosophy around modern folk healing? Is this?
Yes, that is my philosophy. I truly believe that self-healing is, it is the most productive pathway, right? That, again, always truly, truly grateful for modern medicine and its interventions, and especially for all the life-saving opportunities that are available. But like, if we think about it, I'm going to back up a little bit. So when our car breaks down, right? We take it to the car dealer or whoever, our auto technician, for fixing it. Same with our laptop, right? Now, when we break down, we can go to the doctor, we can go to a therapist, we can, so we're in this pattern, this habit. We've been conditioned to outsource, right? Back in the day, way, way back in the day, if your car broke down, then you might actually get under the hood and figure out how to, fix it yourself. You would learn a thing about your car, right? But we can't get in there, we think anyway, we can't get in there to figure out how to fix ourselves. But I think recognizing that all of the people that are available to help us ease our lives, whether it's the mechanic for the car or the person behind the tech desk for your laptop, they're our partners. They're not really there to just be like, oh, I don't want to know anything about it. No. So when you're in there with your doctor, your therapist, even your acupuncturist, whatever it happens to be, they're your partners in life. And that what you think and know of your body, you are the absolute, you have 100% knowledge about your body, 100% knowledge about your spirit, right? You know more about you. You are an expert in you than anyone else. So when you go and you sit down and they say, well, I think this is what you need, my role is to ask you, do you agree with that? Right? And to remind you that you can say, I'm not quite certain that's what I need, but I'll take your advice and I'm going to go and check out a few things. I have your information, and then maybe it is the thing that you need, but maybe it's not. Right? My youngest daughter, when she was 4, she was actually diagnosed with cancer. And this was being, a yogi, really, sort of living what I like to think, I guess, very simple and clean life, right? She's 15 now, so she's good. I should have said that earlier. She's doing well, grateful for that. But at the time, right, I was in this mindset of like, oh my goodness, she was going to go through a lot of surgeries and chemotherapy. And I was like, wow, I am taking my child in to literally see, it's kind of like poisoning your body in order to purge it of a thing. I'm like, I'm going in and I'm like knowingly poisoning her every week in hopes that this is going to work. And so this is why I say, truly grateful for life-saving things. But one of the things that we did with her oncologist is that we went through every single ingredient in her chemotherapy cocktail to ask what it was for. And her doctor, who happened to actually be the head of children's oncology at Dana-Farber at the time, he was like, in 30 years, I've never really had anybody ask me that. But we went through every single item and we got rid of, we dropped it down to about a third, because most of the items that were in there were to help counter each other in case something happened. But one of the things that I had learned on my own, just through my own body, is that our body needs space and time. And the more chemicals that we're putting in, the more it has to work on to balance out. So my thinking at the time was, well, if we can focus on the things that are actually doing the job and then add in anything in case she needs it, then this would give her body less to have to purge all the time, and it can work on healing with her. So they can work together. The doctor was like, makes total sense to me. So this is what we did, right? That and a little bit of Reiki. So it was this whole blend of, all the medicines coming together. So if you're watching this, truly, I am never one to say, don't go that way, right? Listen to your doctors, but also remember that they are your partners and that you can have a conversation about a thing because you are the expert.
I love that. And especially because so often, there's the two extremes. People in the healing industry are often portrayed as these kind of people who are like anti everything, or so it's like, don't go there because they're just anti, and it's so not. I love how you've explained that it's a relationship and the importance of other people's opinions, and you're welcome to go and get them, but you are the the boss of your own space. Yeah, that's so important. Thank you for that message. And I'm so glad that your daughter's well. What an amazing lesson on that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm truly grateful. And it's funny, because she grew up with such a sadly, it's not an unusual life experience for a lot of children today. But I think what made her experience unusual is that, she was also getting Reiki and energy work. And so now if she has, her knee hurts or her back hurts, or she's like, can you do some Reiki, mommy? And I'm like, you can do it too. So, yeah.
Beautiful. So I guess, that it's a fantastic conversation that we're having. I guess before we kind of come to any kind of ending, I'm wondering what else there might be that you might like to add to this conversation.
Let me think. Anything else to share today? I think as you're on your own journeys for health and healing and balance, or if you found yourself in a space of darkness, remembering that the thing that keeps us in spaces of darkness are the illusion that we're alone in it. And so reaching out to someone is always going to help lift you up a bit, right? To stay locked in, closed off, not sharing, it just kind of amplifies isolation. And that is a harder, deeper box to get out of. So wherever you are on your journey, keep reaching out until you find your right mix of your own personal cheerleaders, right? That you can continually lean into, and don't feel like you are a burden or it's a trouble, right? Because once you're lifted up and you're standing on your 4 pillars of wellness, then that means that you'll be that much more equipped to help somebody else when maybe they're on 3 or 2 pillars, right? That's how it works. We lift each other up as we go. So I think keep that in mind, keep reaching out, keep connecting. Because oddly enough, and this is going to sound a little bit strange, but your story or your situation, whatever you're going through, actually isn't unique. Someone out there has been there and they would be happy to help pull you up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. That's a beautiful place to um, come with the conversation. So thank you. You have a free gift for everyone as well, which I think is great to talk about that, and as well as your services and what you do.
Yes, perfect. Yes, so the full moon healing lessons. So the free gift that is available is access to the full moon healing lessons. And what those are is that each month, just before the full moon, the lesson includes sort of information about the moon itself, its significance to what's going on in the world today, because of course the moons are the same every 12 months, but what's happening right now is a little different. So it's, about connecting to those cycles and those rhythms of energy that bring us back to feeling anchored and centered, right? So you receive these lessons, and within them there are prompts and ways of viewing what's happening in the world right now through a lens of through the lens of yoga, through the lens of ancestral medicine, and how is it, a little bit of animism as well, just connecting to that nature piece. How might I meet the energies that are swirling right now to best support myself? And that's what those full moon lessons are about. So really excited to share them with you, and I hope that you find them to be really supportive and nourishing. I think in terms of what am I working on now, the biggest offering that's coming up is to join Illuminate, which is a mastermind for women and women identifying folks who are looking for that more personal one-on-one support with their journey. It's a 6-month-long journey. The next one, there's one that's going on right now in the month of April, depending on when you watch this. But the next one, applications open up for over the summer for September, a September start, and really excited about that. The hardest thing about that is that I can only accept 10 folks for it, because it really is dedicated 100% to you. And so we have one-on-ones every week, 90-minute sessions with me, and then also with the group at large, we also connect with each other. So it's a little very tiny community. Every woman in the journey is somewhere different on their journey, but being able to be together in that way is really helpful. It is online as well as in person. So if you happen to be in Rhode Island, then we can meet in person. But if not, then it's perfectly fine. It's our group sessions and our one-on-one sessions can take place online. So look for that. It's available on my website. And yeah, that's where we're at.
That sounds so fantastic. What is your website address, just so that we can?
Yeah, so my web address is actually ericanunnally.com. So I'll spell that because Nunnally is a mouthful, but it's EricaNunnally. So ericanunnally.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a fabulous conversation, and I've certainly gotten a lot out of it myself. I think I need to go and work on some of those pillars myself. But yes, it's been a pleasure having a conversation. I'm happy for everyone watching. I know that they'll have gotten something out of it as well. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing this together.